What I wanted to talk about today was the difference between responsibility and accountability. One of the things that I say a lot is that we are not responsible for how anyone feels, but we learn we are through the experiences of our lives. We will have many experiences as children where we are programmed to believe that we are responsible for how other people feel. This can be as blatant as our caregivers going, well, if you do that, it's going to make mommy happy. If you do that, it's going to make daddy happy. Or the opposite. If you do that, dad's going to get angry at you or mom's going to be upset with you. But not only that, whenever we would have an experience where we might do something that is seen in a way as not desirable, and because it's not desirable, we would get punished for it. I'm learning that whenever I do something that is out of alignment of my expected way of behaving, annoys my caregiver, and when they're annoyed, I get punished. But on the flip side, whenever they're happy, whenever they're joyful, whenever they're excited, I get love, and I get rejected in moments that they're annoyed, whether it's what I do or even if they're just annoyed and I go, Mom, can I have a chat with you? Not right now. So it's just a continuous programming that I am unsafe when the people around me feel bad. So how do I get to safety? Well, I'm safe whenever they feel good. So we take on, as a way of getting to our safety, we take on the responsibility of making these people, whether it's our caregivers or our siblings or cousins or other people, uncles, friends, we take on the responsibility to make them feel good because that's what makes us feel safe. And this is a learned behavior, and it's seen as very normal in society. And because it's a learned behavior and it's a societal behavior, everyone just goes along with that and goes down that path. I'm not going to do this because it's going to upset that person. I'm not going to choose this line of work because it's going to upset my parents. They really want me to be a doctor or an accountant or a lawyer. So I'm going to go down that path because it's going to upset other people. If I do what I want to do, it's going to upset other people. Now, this is the really important part. When we are making ourselves responsible for how others feel, we're not understanding what feelings are. For a single human being, however you feel emotionally is 100% a communication to you, from you, about you. It's a communication about the self. It's feedback, it's data. Now, if I'm making decisions in my life based on someone else's feedback to themselves, that doesn't make sense. That's why I can never be responsible for how someone else feels. A lot of people at this stage are like, yeah, but what if you do something and it bothers someone? It's like, yeah, again, it still stands. I am not responsible for how they feel. That doesn't mean I need to just completely ignore everything that happens and go, oh, you know what? You're responsible for your own feeling. And this is where accountability comes in. As an adult in a relationship, let's say a romantic relationship, I will make decisions that will trigger my partner. My partner will make decisions that will trigger me. And not necessarily, this isn't only for romantic relationships. It could be any type of relationship. It could be a relationship with your siblings, with your parents, with your friends. Now, if I make a decision that triggers my partner and it really upsets her, I'm not responsible for getting her out of that state or understanding that emotional state or resolving that emotional state. But I can take accountability and go, I understand what I did or the decision that I made brought this up. And I can choose to even hold space for you. But when there's an expectation for me to make the other person feel different or feel better, that's where it's not correct, because I can't control how anyone feels, because how we feel is 100% a communication from me to me about me. But as a loving partner, I can hold space and I can validate and take accountability my own action. I can even go as far as going, okay, I'm going to explore and understand why I chose what I did, why I'm doing what I did. And I can also become aware, and I've learned that me doing this is something that you don't enjoy, you don't like. And depending on what it is, I might even stop it. Or it would invite another conversation where we would go much deeper into exploring the decisions that were made, why it has brought up what it's brought up. But in any relationship, whether it's partnership or siblings or caregivers or friendship. I mean, it'd be a fantastic world if we all lived in a world where we were all in conscious relationships with each other. So there would be that element and that expectation that we both do the exploration of ourselves of why we're feeling like this. But I am not responsible for getting you out of that feeling. Now, let's go a little bit further, and I'm going to explain why this is such an important part of it. Let's say I'm in a meeting and I go to present in that meeting. And let's say as I go to present in the meeting, I start panicking. I start feeling anxiety. I start hyperventilating. I start like, and let's say the presentation isn't very good because of that. Let's go as far as saying I mess it up. Now, coming out of that meeting, there are other people in that meeting. Let's say my team members are in that meeting, 5 team members, and they're in that meeting. I feel bad because of what happened. If I was to, at that point, constantly go externally from myself and try and get the validation that everything's okay. So if I'm speaking to my team and they're like, no, yeah, of course, everything's fine. Like, everything's okay. It's like, okay. And I don't do that self-validating myself. But if I get my calm and peace and everything's okay externally from, then that's where I'm going to go to next time that happens. If I then go into another meeting or have another scenario where I mess something up and I fail at something, I'm constantly going out again. I'm going outside. Now, if I take that responsibility myself, then that's where my power is. But if the people that are with me then see me fail in another meeting or something, and if they feel like, I need to go make that person feel better, then that's going to be a detriment to me, because then I will always have to rely on other people to validate myself and take me out of this feeling, and constantly be relying on other people to regulate my emotions. That's not power. My power then is from other people. So then I'd always be relying on other people. And this is why a lot of people, unfortunately, don't progress. If everyone is learning that the way that I regulate myself is from getting that validation externally from me, you'll never be able to grow in that sense. So if I do that though, then I'm putting the responsibility of how I feel externally from me. So it works on both sides. If I'm assigning that responsibility of how I feel to other people, it's very disempowering to me. If I'm doing it to myself, it's very empowering to me. And if someone else is expecting it from me, that's not empowering for them, and it's not realistic for me as well. But in those moments, I can take accountability for any role that I would play in that scenario.